Imagine an engineer trying to optimize a sluggish, math-heavy Python script. They wrap their functions in async, boot up an event loop, expecting everything to speed up, and instead, the entire application seizes up. The library asyncio is highly effective, but strictly for I/O-bound tasks. It manages concurrency by cooperatively switching context during wait states, like when your code is paused waiting for a database query to return or a network request to resolve. Now, drop a CTU-bound task into that exact same loop. Think of something computationally intensive, like training a large machine learning model. This chart shows the execution flow. The I/O tasks interleave perfectly, pausing and resuming. But when the compute-bound block drops in, the system flatlines. The task never hits an await checkpoint, never yielding control to the loop. The CPU core spikes to 100% utilization, entirely starving every other asynchronous task. The developer expected parallel processing, several tasks running simultaneously to finish the job faster. But the application hasn't scaled, it has frozen. To fix this, we have to look closely at why Python prevents true parallel computation by default, and how to correctly bypass that architectural limitation. Concurrency is strictly a mechanism for managing wait states. It is mathematically incapable of accelerating raw, uninterrupted computation. Once an engineer realizes async I/O won't solve a compute bottleneck, the next logical step is usually standard multithreading. In lower-level languages like C or Java, spawning multiple threads allows a program to distribute heavy workloads across several physical CPU cores simultaneously. Python, however, has a unique architectural constraint built directly into its standard implementation, the Global Interpreter Lock, or GIL. This diagram illustrates how the GIL operates as a mutex. It ensures only one thread executes Python bytecode at any given moment. Even with multiple threads, the lock forces the single core to rapidly switch between them. The other available cores remain entirely idle. You could be running your code on a massive server with 32 physical cores. The GIL still forces those standard Python threads to execute sequentially. In fact, the constant overhead of pausing, switching, and resuming threads actually makes a heavy CPU-bound task run slower than if you had just left it in a single thread. Standard multithreading is completely ineffective for achieving multi-core scaling in Python compute tasks. As long as your execution remains trapped within a single Python process, it is strictly bound to a single CPU core. This exact limitation is why Python includes the multiprocessing library, a native workaround engineered to break out of the single-thread trap. Instead of attempting to squeeze multiple threads into a single locked process, this library takes a different approach. It instructs the operating system to duplicate the entire Python environment. Look at what happens to the architecture here. Because the process is duplicated, each newly spawned worker receives its own distinct global interpreter lock. Alongside its own lock, each isolated container also receives its own completely separate memory space allocation. To manage these separate environments, engineers use the multiprocessing.Pool module, which acts as a load balancer to coordinate the isolated processes. Consider a scenario where you need to apply computationally intensive transformations to a dataset of several thousand high-resolution images. By utilizing a function like pool.map, the library automatically chunks your list of images and distributes the heavy lifting across all available worker processes. The same logic applies if you are running hyperparameter tuning for several distinct machine learning models. You can assign each model to its own physical core. Because these processes do not share a single GIL, all 4 CPU cores are now executing heavy, pure Python code simultaneously. True parallelism in Python compute is achieved not through a specific language feature, but through operating system-level orchestration of independent environments. Spawning complete OS-level processes solves the GIL problem, but it introduces a strict architectural trade-off: complete memory isolation. Up top, threads instantly access shared memory. On the bottom, sharing data between isolated processes requires serializing information, pushing it through an inter-process communication pipe, and deserializing it. Every time data passes through this IPC bottleneck, you incur severe latency and CPU overhead. If your specific workload strictly requires shared memory across processes, you have to utilize specialized objects provided by the library, like value or array. But relying on these shared memory objects reintroduces the exact risk of race conditions you see in multithreading, requiring complex and deliberate locking mechanisms to prevent data corruption.
The engineering best practice is simple. Design your parallel tasks to be radically independent, minimizing or entirely eliminating the need for data transfer between them. There is, however, a major exception to this pure Python multiprocessing rule, the NumPy library. NumPy achieves massive speeds because it doesn't perform heavy numerical computation in Python. It executes pre-compiled C code under the hood. When executing C code, NumPy is capable of deliberately releasing the global interpreter lock entirely. With the lock out of the way, execution spreads efficiently across multiple CPU cores natively, without the overhead of spawning entirely separate OS processes. The multiprocessing library is strictly necessary for parallelizing pure Python computation. C-backed libraries, on the other hand, manage their own multi-core scaling beneath the surface. Designing a scalable Python application means matching the exact system constraint to the appropriate tool. This matrix clarifies the decision. Use asynchronio for rapid I/O wait states, like database queries on a single machine. Use multiprocessing for CPU-bound tasks requiring true parallelism across multiple cores. And use Celery to distribute massive workloads with retry logic across separate machines. Applying the wrong tool to your constraint, like using an asynchronous event loop to process heavy mathematics, will ensure your system performance grinds to a halt. This completes our entire architectural block on asynchronous programming and concurrency in Python. In our next segment, we are shifting focus entirely, moving into our 11th curriculum block, data validation and configuration. We will start by examining Pydantic, analyzing how it functions as the underlying engine powering Fast API's automatic data validation capabilities. Python's performance limitations are real, but they are simply architectural boundaries. Once you understand the mechanics, you can engineer around them.